Thanks to Disney's announcement about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, we got a sneak peek at some of the merchandise that we'll be able to buy at this new land. One picture in particular really grabbed my attention because it features 4 mannequins with different Star Wars outfits that apparently we'll be able to buy. If we'll be able to buy any one of these costumes, and that's what they are, they're costumes, does that mean that we'll be able to wear them around the park throughout the day? If they sell these costumes at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, then the assumption would be yes. If you are indeed allowed to wear these costumes in the parks, like I assume you will be able to, this would mean a totally new direction for Disney costume policy in the parks. Disney has a very strict policy when it comes to costumes in the parks, and I quote, "Costumes may not be worn by guests 14 years of age or older. However, some costumes may be permitted during select special events, such as Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party." If you've been to Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party before, you know how strict Disney is about this policy because they will not let anyone in costume until 4 p.m. on the night of your party. Given all of this information, it's safe to assume that Disney is planning on changing their costume policy in the parks in the very near future. We can find even more evidence of this from Disney themselves. In an interview with the Orlando Sentinel, a spokeswoman said Disney doesn't allow adults to dress in costume at its parks, but that's a guideline Disney is looking into before the opening of Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. If it comes from an official spokesperson of the Disney company, you know that it's serious, so we can expect at least some kind of change soon. But what kind of policy change is Disney thinking about? Disney has this current policy in place for many reasons, but one of the biggest ones is to prevent an individual from becoming a distraction from the magic. Even during the parties, there are certain guidelines that you have to follow where you're not allowed to get too close to looking like the actual character themselves, so you don't confuse guests and you take away from the magic. So what is Disney going to do? If I had to guess, I would imagine they're weighing 2 different options. One option is for Disney to change the costume policy at all of their theme parks. So at the Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, Disneyland, California Adventure, the costume policy changes for all of those locations. If they do go with that option, I would imagine they're going to be very specific about what you can and cannot wear, probably something light over what you're wearing that doesn't look too close to a real character, and maybe a very small like robe or cape similar to what we see in these pictures. There's another issue on top of the robe or cape, and it has to do with the length of the cape to the ground. Disney knows that if someone's cape or robe is too long, someone else behind them could accidentally step on it, they could trip, fall, and you've got a safety problem, so they're not going to let that happen. If they do allow capes and robes, they're going to be very careful in terms of the height from the ground. You're going to have to make it so that no one else can trip on it behind you. The other option that Disney may be considering is only allowing guests to wear their costume to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, but there's a little bit of a problem here. To get to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Walt Disney World, you have to go through Hollywood Studios, and to get to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, you have to walk through the rest of the Disneyland park. A possible solution to this is they only allow guests to wear their costumes at Hollywood Studios and Disneyland. But if they're allowing guests to wear their costumes through all of Disneyland, then why not just let guests wear them through California Adventure and the rest of Walt Disney World as well? It just doesn't make as much sense. There is a possible third option. They may only allow Star Wars costumes in the parks, but who determines what a Star Wars costume is? You could make your own costume that's just kind of a spin of a lot of different costumes, so that one I don't think is going to be likely. We'll just have to wait and see what Disney decides, but I predict we will see a costume policy change in the very near future. Now, if you were on the board of costume policy decisions at Disney parks, what would you do? Would you make it so it's only Star Wars costumes, or lighten the policy for every Disney park? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for being a part of the magic with me. Until next time, have a magical day.